Hey, Josh.
Ah!
Sorry, didn't mean to scare you. Ready to grab dinner?
Dinner? Oh, is it dinner time already? Wow. Time flies.
Yes, and I'm hungry. It's been a long day, and I'm ready for some good food.
Oh, good.
So where did you want to go?
Oh, where? Yes.
Earth to Josh. What is up with you? You sound kind of out of it.
Who, me? Out of it?
Yes, you. Out of it. You're acting kind of strange.
Strange? No, not me. I'm just your normal Josh. Yes, indeed, just your normal old Josh, the real Josh, just like you're the normal old Maya, the real Maya, right?
Yes, that's me. Wait a minute. Are you still watching Battlestar Galactica reruns?
You are Maya, right? You're not a Cylon, are you? I mean, if you weren't Maya, you wouldn't tell me, though. I mean, how would I know that you're you? Or how would you know that I'm me? Any of us could not be who we think we are, and that would be really, really bad.
My friend, that's not good for you. This makes 5 days in a row. You have Cylons on the brain, don't you?
No, I'm fine. There's nothing wrong with watching a little TV, though I don't know how I feel about eating. Starbuck just killed Rubin during dinner with a pair of metal chopsticks and kept eating with the blood on her hands.
Don't get me wrong. I love me some number 6 and Baltar and all, but that stuff can start to affect you after a while. You know, some studies link the surge in mass shootings in the United States to the increase in violence on television and in video games.
No, I don't think that's right. You and I watched violent things all the time growing up, and I never gouged your eyes out or anything. It's just entertainment. We watch all sorts of violent stuff on TV, and sexual stuff. Game of Thrones, True Blood, Westworld, pretty much anything on HBO.
Well, some very smart people have argued that all of that sex and violence leads you astray from the good stuff, and can even make you do terrible things in the long run.
That's just some political silliness.
Oh no, this is nothing new. How about Nietzsche? He warned us that when you stare into the abyss stares back into you.
Yes, but what Nietzsche didn't get is that sometimes we have to face evil in order to beat it, like in the Avengers.
Well, that's true, but this is a real question for those of us who make theater and entertainment to consider. What are the effects of the stories we tell? How does the way we tell them both enthrall and inspire an audience? And if we do inspire an audience, what do we inspire them to do? These questions have been at the heart of debates about theater for centuries.
I disagree. I like watching sex and violence, as do you, my friend, and I'm telling you, there's nothing dangerous about it. Entertainment is just momentary engagement. We can enjoy watching that stuff without it messing with our brains in any serious way.
Well, Josh, I know just the person to make the case for the dangerous impact that theater can have. And if I can prove to you that entertainment isn't just something we watch with no impact on us, then you have to pay for dinner as soon as we're done.
Okay, I'm game. See if you can change my mind. And if you do, I will be your free dinner for tonight.
Perfect. I am going to go right to the big guns, the original Mr. Moral himself.
Mike Johnson?
No. Much, much older than him. One of the first to have the nerve to tell the world what was right and wrong. Plato.
Plato? I thought you hated him. Didn't you call him a douchebag in episode 1?
Oh, don't get me wrong. He is an awful person. But he was the grandfather of criticizing the arts, especially theater. He was the first entertainment critic we have on record arguing that artists were dangerous for society. In fact, we wouldn't talk about violence and sex in the first place if it wasn't for the fact that Plato set the terms of the discussion for us over 2,300 years ago. So turn off that gore fest, because today we're going to talk about...
Wait, shouldn't we introduce ourselves first?
Of course.
I'm Joshua Shue.
And I'm Maya Williams.
You're listening to Forge Theater Labs.
Where does that idea come from?
A podcast devoted to exploring theater history.
Is anything that original?
Concepts and storytelling.
Isn't that just an assumption?
And the creation of theater from behind the scenes.
How do they even do that?
This is Forge Theater Labs.
History, innovation, perspective.
Hey there, Josh Shue here. If you've been enjoying our episodes and the stories we bring to life, there are a couple of easy ways that you can help us keep the fire burning. First, hit that subscribe button wherever you're listening so you never miss an episode. And if you want to take your support to the next level, you can buy us a coffee or even join our Patreon, helping us create more bold, design-forward, and innovative theater experiences. You'll find all the links on our website at forgetheaterlabs.com. Your support, whether it's a subscription, a donation, or just sharing the show with friends, makes a huge difference. Thanks for helping us forge ahead.
Okay, Maya, so we talked about Aristotle's legacy before. Why is Plato still relevant to theater and TV today?
Plato argued art led people into immoral activity.
But I thought the Greeks liked art.
They did. In fact, like we talked about in the last episode, theater in the West was born out of Greek religious rituals for Dionysus, the god of wine and later the god of theater.
So theater was originally religious?
That's right. Though Dionysian rituals with their drunken orgies and ritual violence were totally different than going to church on Sundays today.
Those Greeks. So, is that why Plato thought artists were immoral? Because theater people like to get drunk and party?
Well, I'm sure that the Greeks stopped everything for multi-day art and drinking festivals, didn't make the stuffy types big fans of theater, but all that stuff had wrapped up by the time that Plato got to the scene.
Plato wasn't part of the original theater scene?
No, Plato lived in the century after Athens was no longer the top dog and theater was on the decline.
So he never saw the good stuff?
No, but his opposition to theater and art wasn't based on a couple of bad plays.
Well, what did he say then?
Well, Josh, you know that I'm a theater person at heart myself, so I can't do justice to Mr. No Fun's ideas, so I think we will have to hear it directly from the ass's mouth.
You're calling him on your cell phone? Why do you have his number?
You never know when it's helpful to have a famous philosopher in your back pocket.
But isn't he dead?
Feisty philosophers live on through their ideas.
Why is it getting darker in here? The air is getting colder.
Just don't say anything about the radio show. He would hate to be a part of something theatrical.
Now you're scaring me.
Speak.
Plato! Hi, it's Maya Williams calling.
Why do you call Seeker of Wisdom?
Plato, I have you here on speakerphone with my friend Josh.
Lucky me.
Why does he have a British accent?
Well, when I learned English, I learned to speak it the proper way.
Plato, we are calling about your book, The Republic. We'd like to make sure we understand your thinking on artists.
Well, have you read it? I lay out my argument very clearly. Artists are not suitable citizens for my ideal republic.
What made it ideal then?
It was a society to be built on justice and raising citizens who would lead and act based on rational thought and would observe their debts to the state through service.
He envisioned that philosophers would be its leaders.
Naturally, you need smart, educated people to lead, such as myself.
In featuring equal education and virtues for men and women, shared property, it was actually pretty progressive in some ways.
It sounds promising. So why were artists not a key part of that ideal society?
Artists are liars.
That's a big generalization for a philosopher. We may not all be perfect all the time, but...
No, artists are liars by practice. Their work, if you want to call it that, even though they produce nothing of use, is all falsehood. They invent stories about things that are not true and did not happen, or even worse, misrepresent some fanciful imaginings of something that did.
Plato thought actors were the worst among them because they claim to be people that they are not and pretend to perform deeds that they do not actually perform.
I guess that's true in a technical sense. But what's wrong with pretending? People enjoy it. And doesn't the audience understand that it's all fiction?
Fiction or not, it is in human nature to imitate what one sees. Even my pupil Aristotle acknowledged that.
What was the term that Aristotle used again?
Mimesis.
You know his work?
He visited us.
Of course he would. I would never sully myself like that.
Why is imitation a problem for theater? So what if actors imitate things?
Not just the actors. Since it's human nature to imitate, the spectators too will naturally try to imitate the violence and sexual depravity that appears in tragedy and comedy. People might kill their nephews as Atreus does, or sleep with their stepchildren as Phaedra wishes to.
Or cut off people's limbs like in Saw, or lead their lovers into bondage like in 50 Shades.
But people watch this stuff all the time, don't they? I've seen Oedipus and I haven't gouged out any eyes. I've watched Breaking Bad and haven't made any meth.
Even if you never reproduce the actions you witness on stage, you ultimately will be influenced by the immorality you are watching. Entertainment stirs passions in us, It heightens our emotions, makes us feel anger, joy, fear, pity. And we certainly don't want that. These emotions don't contribute to rational thinking. If this saw thing of which you speak has the potential to lead to even one amputation, should it not be banned?
But should we really ban something for its potential effect on one person?
Some people prove that monkey see, monkey do is unavoidable. Did you know that someone made blue meth just like in Breaking Bad? And one professed fan actually disposed of his girlfriend's dead body using sulfuric acid in a bathtub, just like on TV.
No way, really?
Yep, just like Plato said.
Unlike my wayward pupil, however, I do not see passion as a beneficial thing. Virtue and justice arise from reason and rational thinking. Feelings, therefore, are a direct threat to all that is good. Thus, artists do not have any place in a just society.
I don't know about that. I'm still skeptical. What about The Daily Show? No one can deny the important role that Jon Stewart had during the Iraq War, getting people to laugh at the absurdity of Bush and his vice president, the Prince of Darkness.
Mirth is not productive. Society would be better off without such distractions. Craftsmen should produce something beneficial to society, like baking bread or forging swords. Citizens should spend their free time on worthwhile activities like athletics or studying my books. Those are the foundations of a strong society.
Like you could be cleaning your house or buying me dinner rather than watching TV for the 5th day in a row.
But how do we know that it is the immoral art making society worse? Couldn't this be a chicken or the egg situation? What if the art is just the outward reflection of a society rather than the factor determining society's morality? What if art is a forum for exploring society's situation?
You are missing the point. There's no accomplishment in simple expression. Babies can let you know when they are hungry or sad. So an art that only communicates the current condition lacks any real substance. In that case, theater would be no more than mere gossip.
I hate to say it, but I may agree with Plato on this one point. What's the point of making theater if it doesn't do anything?
I lay this all out in my other works on ethics. Do you read them? They're even available on Kindle, I'm told. I write that human endeavors and creations arise from the pursuit of well-being, goodness, and there's no higher pursuit than the pursuit of virtue. What good is a bowl if it doesn't do something to make human lives better? Or a sword if it isn't used to defend the weak and the good? Theater is a useless creation, for it presents illusion and fiction rather than truth, and inspires spectators into all manner of passions, carnal or otherwise. Passions distract the impassioned from truth and productive work.
Like taking me to dinner. I am hungry.
I don't know if there's much virtue in that.
Hey.
I'm kidding. Anyway, we still have to settle this bet and wrap up this radio show before we can eat.
Radio show? You have me on a radio show and you didn't tell me. Quinteros. One more example of how artists are liars. Don't ever call me again.
Sorry, Plato. He's a bit temperamental, which is kind of funny for a man who thinks emotions are bad.
No kidding. Well, at least art survived Plato's criticisms. Several golden ages of theater have come and gone, so clearly no one took him very seriously.
Well, not exactly.
What?
A lot of later intellectuals and public officials followed in his footsteps.
Like whom?
Well, there were the Roman intellectuals that criticized the imperial spectacles that the government used to distract its citizens. And then there were the early Christians who were pretty anti-theater and...
Yeah, we're gonna wanna take a break, aren't we?
Agreed. We'll be right back.
Hey there, Josh Hsu again. Want to get your brand in front of a passionate, creative, and engaged audience? Forge Theater Labs is looking for partners to sponsor this podcast and join us in bringing bold, innovative theater to life. If you'd like to place an ad right here, reach out to us at marketing@forgetheaterlabs.com. It's a simple, powerful way to support the arts while sharing your message with listeners who care about creativity and community. Again, that's marketing@forgetheaterlabs.com. Let's build something extraordinary together.
So Plato wasn't the last to cast artists as evil or morally reprehensible?
Nope. A Roman Christian named Tertullian warned Christians it was a sin to attend shows. The performers showed off their bodies too much, and he called it a form of pagan worship. I'm sure it didn't help that Christians were sometimes the entertainment when they got fed to the lions or crucified.
I can see how that might leave a bad taste in your mouth about entertainers.
So when the Christians came to power near the end of Rome, they not only banned theater in various ways, they even denied actors communion.
That's harsh.
Yeah. And even as the church came to embrace theater in the service of educating the masses years later, the Puritans banned it left and right. Cromwell and his Reformation lackeys banned it in England in the 17th century, and the First Continental Congress banned plays in the U.S. in 1774.
Theater was banned in the US? That's crazy. Why do they hate it so much?
Look, I don't want to imply that all Christians across history have been opposed to theater and performance, but some did think it was a distraction from religious piety and proper living. Plus, the Puritans in both cases associated it with the English crown, which they hated too.
But that was all a long time ago.
Even in the last century, entertainment has frequently been called a threat to morality and those in power. Social conservatives attack drag queens, and dictators in other countries ban theater because it criticizes power structures. It's no coincidence that McCarthy's witch hunt in the 50s targeted working artists. They were rebels who were unafraid to question the government and therefore got lumped in with communists.
Being an artist is pretty dangerous. But doesn't anyone in history defend theater?
Absolutely. I know just the guy to call. He's dashing, cheeky, and clever.
Bring him in.
I know he can revive your spirits. But if I save the day here, portraying both sides, remember that you're still buying me dinner.
Are you holding my artistic soul hostage for a meal?
Yeah. Do we have a deal?
Fine. If you can really turn this one around, I am at your service. Who is he?
Sir Philip Sidney. Excellent. Let me just get my phone out and call him.
Wait, you also have a Poet's Night's number in your phone too? Who else do you have in there?
Shh. It's ringing.
Maya, you minx! It's been ages. Please tell me thou callest because thou art coming to visit. We are overdue for a lazy day of wine and gossip by the river.
Oh, Phil, you cad. You never changed. So I'm actually calling about your work.
Of course, forever your servant. How might I help thee?
I was telling my friend Josh that no one in history has mounted a better defensive artist than you.
Thou speakest of my own defense of poesy, then. I did take pleasure in writing it back in 1579.
In it, Sir Sidney, essentially answers Plato's criticisms by pointing out the valuable role that artists play in society.
Thou art correct, sweet Maya. The study of nature lies at the heart of all human labor. Physicians study the body, scientists the world, philosophers ethics and logic, historians the deeds of the past. In their work they do imitate their objects of study.
Mimesis again.
Thou speakest true, delectable one.
So, artists are okay because they do similar work to scholars?
On the contrary, sir, they are better than all the others.
Really? How so?
Scientists and historians are limited to imitating nature as it is. They are bound to facts, if thou wilt. When artists study nature and present it on the page or the stage, they do not just imitate it. They imagine something better than reality. They thus offer humanity something that the others cannot, a vision of a better world.
And Phil challenges Plato's point about artists being liars in their pretense.
That point is bollocks. They never claim to produce the facts in their performances. Plato takes the audience for fools. They understand it to be fiction. Indeed, artists are more honest than scholars. They never claim to produce the truth and therefore never fail to live up to their promises.
That does sound a lot better. It's like Star Trek, right? That's a world that is much better than ours. Food is produced on command with computers. There's peace among the planets in the Federation, even technology like transporters and warp drives.
I do enjoy that show. But, my dear man, you mustn't rely on philosophers to perceive the beauty in life or the way things should be. As I write in my treatise, philosophers get distracted by what is right and wrong. If we don't feel it in our bones, if we can't taste it on our tongues, we will not seek it out. Art motivates us in the way that philosophy cannot, for art teaches our hearts, not just our minds. Philosophers miss the kernel of truth itself. Right and wrong is useless without passion.
But what if it's a dark vision, like Battlestar Galactica?
If we aren't horrified by the terrible things we witness, and driven into pity and fear by exquisite storytelling, we might not be as motivated to face evil in our own world.
So when I watch Battlestar Galactica, I am rightfully horrified by the violence.
Yes, and maybe even inspired by the rare moments when humanity overcomes fear, like when the crew saves number 8 from abuse at the hands of the Pegasus's crew.
But what about Plato's warning about imitating immoral actions? Is it risky for artists to present violence and sex on the stage? Surely, if we are inspiring people to be moved by their passions, there must be danger in presenting violence.
Well, Plato doth assume men to be unthinking when they witness spectacles. Are we not moved to anger when we see unjust actions performed? Plato would have us believe that men embrace injustice when they witness it, rather than become roused to stand against it. When comedy doth show us foolishness, do we not endeavor to avoid such ridicule ourselves? Plato hath neither mirth nor sympathy in his soul.
So, showing us immoral actions inspires us to be better people.
Or it can simply bore us. Hast thou seen 50 Shades of Grey? It's the least passion-inducing film ever.
But that's what I'm getting at. 50 Shades doesn't motivate us to oppose immoral action. What if it inspires us to callousness or anger? What's the ethical responsibility for artists? Surely we mustn't glorify rape or violence.
Not all art is morally productive. Thus I do dissent from Plato's argument. I say, nay, theatre can do the work of goodness, or the work of evil, or no work at all. But poesy and theatre answer the highest of callings when they do inspire virtue in the public. As I write in my work, art can, quote, lift up our minds from the dungeon of our bodies so that we can enjoy our own divine essences, unquote. Star Trek thus can reach through the television and beam up our souls.
Thanks, Phil. I knew you could help.
Always a pleasure, my dearest Maya.
Wait, I have more questions about art?
I will give you your answers right after this break. We'll be right back.
At Forge Theater Labs, we want this podcast to be as collaborative as it was when we created it. That's where you come in. Have an idea for a future episode, a guest you'd love to hear from, or just thoughts on how we can make the show even better? Feel free to email us at info@forgetheaterlabs.com. Your voice shapes the stories we tell, so don't be shy. Let us know what you think.
So, what's the final word here? Plato is wrong, right?
I shall have the final word here.
I thought you didn't want to be on our radio show.
Sometimes good people must make sacrifices and face evil, and this artist you've summoned up from some deeply immoral era with his fancy words will not lead you to goodness the way I can.
The Elizabethan era gave us some of our best plays.
Scoundrel! Thou art nothing but a traitorous coxcomb whose dry drivel offers nothing but preaching without meaning.
Is this really happening?
True happiness is found through just actions. We feel gladness through a good day's work, and by focusing our thoughts on truth and meaning, the art you promote is merely fleeting pleasures to distract us from the hard work of philosophy.
Where is our popcorn?
You, sir, mistake pleasure as the end. Rather, it is the means to illuminate that which is good, either directly or by inference, when showing the bad. Besides, do you not share your philosophy through the sweet words of poetry? Oh, is it not written in dramatic form?
That's right.
That is simply a convention. It's a Socratic dialogue meant to be read with other seekers of wisdom. It is not a play.
But isn't a convention inherently artistic?
Sir, I do not mean to disparage you. As you know from me reading my essay, I actually laud you in this way. I link you to a poetic tradition continuing in the style of Cylon, and state that any who read your exquisite work shall find that even though the philosophy beats at its heart, its beauty is in its poetic skin.
Did he just compliment Plato?
Well, I'm glad you noticed that I take the craft of writing seriously. To move people with knowledge of goodness and justice, one must illuminate the complexities with careful examples.
Which is really art, isn't it? Poetry, theater, and other arts move us by helping us to grapple with complicated things.
Well said, Maya. Your wit shines like a jewel at dawn. And even Plato's pupil, the brilliant Aristotle, argued that poetry is a higher form of writing than history. Because history focuses on the details, while poetry distills the truth from the world.
That's right.
You clearly haven't read my work. If you had, you wouldn't be asking these absurd questions.
I don't think Plato has read Sidney either.
Plato, come with me. Let us drink wine, and I will share how I praise you in my work, and we can create a new dialogue between us to unveil the truth at the heart of this. I know of a lovely spot by the river which will inspire your words with beauty and virtue.
Very well. I will join you and will indeed lead you to the truth. Perhaps I will even write up our dialogue after to be part of my next book.
Bye, Plato. Bye, Phil.
Fare ye well, friends.
Okay, so Plato says that theater makes people do bad things, and Sidney agrees that theater does make people do things, but says they can be good or bad. So, what's the verdict? Is it okay for me to binge watch Battlestar Galactica? Am I going to be violent now? Am I going to imitate what I see and become a Cylon?
I certainly don't think that watching Star Trek is going to inspire me to go out and kill some Klingons, nor watching Battlestar Galactica is going to make me kill you and eat dinner with your corpse.
Well, that's a relief. So, is it simply a matter of distinguishing good art from bad art? Is good or moral art defined by the intent of the author or the effects of the production? If I tell a story with no redeeming characters that glorifies gore, does that make my art bad? And if my intent is to make the world better, is that good enough?
We are dancing around a point here on which Sidney and Plato both agree, a point that makes me very excited as a performer and artist. For it to matter whether theater is good or bad, moral or immoral, the good news is that theater does something. Art and performance inspires passions and make people think about issues. Plato and Sidney don't agree on whether it can be a force for good in the world, but all the theater fans and critics have to acknowledge that it means something.
Didn't Plato say that it wasn't real work?
Yes, and D-Bag Plato seems to have missed the contradiction in dismissing it as somehow having no product, and in the same breath blaming it for leading people into passions and immoral action.
And we theater artists can use our powers for better or for worse.
Exactly. That's what makes artists dangerous and relevant and necessary.
Even this show.
Exactly. And this whole episode served the greater good and helped me win my bet, so you will buy me dinner.
Well played. End deal.
And that's a wrap. I'm Maya Williams.
I'm Josh Shue, and we'll catch you next time on Forge Theater Labs. History, Innovation, Perspective.
This episode was written by Andrew J. Henkes and produced by Joshua M. Shue and Maya Williams. Story editing and dramaturgy by Rachel Price Cooper. Audio design and editing by me, Sam Rapaport. Featured performances by Mark Rubin as Plato and Jared Mongeau as Sidney. Incidental music by Super Order and Peter Bloom. This episode of Ford's Theater Labs was recorded live at Cassidy Point as a part of the Circular series.